All right, what's good, coaches? It's Coach Justin. It's Justin, training administrator again, and we're going through the onboarding procedure, standard operating procedures. So this is essentially what the day-to-day looks like. It's the requirements of y'all. It's the minimum expectations. Of course, you're a great coach. You're gonna go above and beyond these, but this is our expectations for y'all. So hey, without further ado, let's get right into it. So number one, confirm your schedule. And if it is in the afternoon, it will be coming to you at in between 10 and 11, either via email or via text. Kind of depends how you set it up. Just make sure you accept that. Number two, preparing practice plan by age. And this is really important, by age and by skill. Right? Because we focus on the fundamentals, right? But the fundamentals look different for 4 and 5-year-olds to 6 to 9 and 10 to 14, 10 to 14 advanced, right? So starting to begin to understand that and making sure that you are prepared, especially as a main coach, to be able to serve the population that, the age group that you are going through, and get some ideas, obviously, from, wherever you get ideas from. Just make sure it's age and skill appropriate. Keeping uniform neat and clean, pretty straightforward. Just making sure you're washing it. If you got to hand wash it, got to do whatever you got to do. If you're working multiple times a week, you can always ask us for multiple uniforms. So just ask, myself or the person at the head coach or Jimmy or the basketball administrator at the time being. Let's see here. Let's keep cruising. So please give us 24-hour notice if you need to cancel your schedule, especially if you're a private coach. It's really important that we, unless you are super sick or, an emergency comes up, this is like really important for us because it's hard to get subs, especially if you think about a Saturday morning or even afternoon. So if you cancel and another coach, one of our substitute coaches already has plans, it's really tough to find a replacement for there, and just works so much smoother. So 24-hour notice if you need to cancel your schedule. Number 5, show up 10 minutes before practice. That's so we can go through our daily huddle, make sure we're set up, ready to rock and roll. Face covering, boom, we're good. We don't have to do that right now. Amazing. Check the cone at the gate. So Emic, screenshot this right now. It's 5214. It'll be on the left-hand side. Boom, it'll open. There'll be a cone, and then you block the sensor. So that's if you get there first. Most of the time, basketball administrator, head coach should be there for you. And then we go to open the gym door. We go all the way up to the side. The code is 3570. So that's to be able to get in, and the ball card code at Westside JCC is 2181. Again, screenshot those, write those down, whatever you need to do. So with that being said, we got to turn on the lights in the gym/restroom. We want to turn on the AC at the gym, and that can be found. So at Emic, it's all the way to the right by the green door, making sure we're turning all those on. The AC is also on the side next to the lights, next to the bathroom. Most of the time, again, Jimmy or I will do that, or someone else that is covering at a head coach position. Checking equipment and balls. So this is really important, and this is actually the role of the head coach as well. But if you notice anything that's like there's not a lot of basketballs, not a lot of cones, whatever it may be, let the head coach of the gym know, and we can try and get some more. That way, kind of have that. We want to make sure that there's enough supplies for everyone. So just letting us know that. Dividing the court with cones in 4 working stations. So we do that because it's really important for us to be able to break apart different groups. We want to maximize the amount of reps and fundamentals. Of course, if you only have 10 to 12 between the two, it's okay to use, if you want to use a full court, you do like a 3-man weave or something. If they're 6 to 9, obviously 4 to 5. So it really just depends on the size. If it's over 10 to 12, I would definitely say split the groups in half, even if it's a quarter of the group. So number 12, setting the ball pump on the table. That way, you're like, hey, parents, the ball pump is right there. Y'all can do it, or the kid can do it, and y'all can coach, right? That way you don't have to go back and forth. So, hey, ball pump is there. So it's in the bag. You take it out. You put it down. You point them over there. You don't do it. Kids and the parents do it. Lower the hoops for the younger ones, 10 to 8 feet. And then also for 6 and 7-year-olds, some of the more less advanced ones, we've been lowering that to about 9, and that's really important for them to work on a good shot form. A lot of them end up ruining their shots because they're shooting on a 10-foot hoop too soon, and shooting threes, and a lot of that's out of our control, but we can do the best that we can. So lowering the hoops to 8 feet for the 4 to 5-year-olds and about 9 for 6 and 7. No benches under the basket. So if you get there early, just, sometimes I even ask a parent to help move in with me, or another coach. Just they cannot be under the basket. That is a huge safety hazard. So more than 10 groups, I'd say more than 10 to 12, depending on the group. You kind of have to feel it out. 12, definitely the max. 10 is definitely, ideal if you have 2 coaches. You can split them up 5 and 5. Just making sure that they're a quarter, and you can even, when you have a quarter of the court, you can do, one quarter you can do ball handling, other quarter you can do, shot form, or you can do passing. Really can do a lot of things. A lot of times, you're trying to teach some concepts, some full court drills. You'll probably keep them together. So you got to start practice with warm up / break sweat. You cannot jump into highly competitive drills right away, whether it be scrimmage or whatnot. The way you warm up doesn't necessarily matter, as long as it's dynamic. You're kind of, working on obviously strength, agility, flexibility, joint mobility, all those good things. Just getting them warm. It's good to change things up too. You don't have to do the same thing every time. Number 17, no handling and shooting of basketball during class. This one's really important. Of course, there's some times where, you may be messing around and playing a little one-on-one with them, like during the drills, but like in between water breaks, if you're shooting, they're going to shoot. And if they start shooting, you're losing time, and we only have so much time. So being very mindful of that, and no handling and shooting of basketball during class. No touching, physical contact with students in all practices. This is really just to cover your ass. CYA, if you want to remember that. High fives and knucks, obviously all good. And, there are going to be some times where you try and move them in a certain way, but just really being very mindful of how it's being perceived from parents, because we really do not want any misconducts, any sexual misconducts, anything that, is going to jeopardize not only yourself, but also Royal, but really we don't want you to get in trouble. So being very mindful of that. Using variety of drills during the practice. It's a combination between consistency and also variety, in different ways you teach it, in different ways you gamify it. But for real, just really being mindful that, keeping it fun and varying the drills you do. Consistency is good for the kids. Like if you're on left layups, they're going to have to do it over and over and over again. So definitely understanding that, but then maybe do another drill that's different than the other time you did it. And we're switching so much as coaches that they're getting quite a bit of variety as drills anyways, but just something to keep in mind and be mindful of. Maximizing the full length of the court. So if you have half the court, if you have a full court, just knowing that, it's a time to really use the full court, use the full space, just so that they can, make sure that they're getting involved, make sure that they can get sweat in, and the time is maximized to the furthest. So this is a really important one. It's a hard one, especially if you only go once a week. Asking and learning their names. One thing that is very helpful actually is having the kids introduce themselves to each other, so you don't have to keep asking the same kids their names every single time. And then obviously introducing yourself at the beginning. Hey, I'm Coach Justin. Hey, I'm Coach Jimmy. Whatever your name is, it's a good way to start building those personal relationships, because as you'll find out, there's a saying, and I'm going to draw a blank on what coach said it, but they don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And that starts with just introducing yourself, what your name is, and, what their names are. That's basic fundamentals, and it's going to be hard. I forget kids' names all the time. So just trying to have kids introduce themselves to each other. That way it's like, sweet. So proper body language actually sends more signals to players than verbal communication does. And obviously verbal communication still does matter, right? Like we're going into the next one, but just making sure you're not crossing, the rolling the eyes, the energy you're bringing, matters a lot. So being very mindful of that, and just always being enthusiastic, clapping, no crossing hands. If you're making sure that you're engaged, you're with them, which goes next to, kind of the verbal feedback, positive feedback. So not necessarily positive and la, 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 you're so good at everything, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like a productive feedback, and what I mean by that is positive isn't, that's a good shot. Well, they don't know why that's a good shot. That's a good shot because they're open, because they followed through. So being specific with your feedback is really, really important. And that's something I'm trying to get better at, because I'm even, sometimes I'm like a positive dude, like, yeah, nice shot. So I'm working on that myself and being specific, because we're really trying to teach the kids, the way that they learn is the reason they shoot so much is because their parents just get so hyped if they shoot and make a shot, blah, blah, blah. And then they ruin their shot because they shot it like from their hip instead of having a nice follow through. And if you can focus on a nice follow through, boom, they'll start learning. So that's a rant I could probably go on for a while. So we'll keep it light, you know what I'm saying? Game time tips: stop and go, correct mistakes. So feel free. It's a little bit of an art, because you don't want to stop it every time. You want to let them play a little bit, but definitely giving them plenty of feedback, stopping, being like, hey, did you see this player over here? You got to dribble with your head up. Hey, stop fouling. You got to move your feet. Feel free. You got to stop the game sometimes, right? But it is an art. You don't want to stop it every play. It's not going to be pretty accepting that. But if you see something that's happening repeatedly, say something for sure. This one, cleaning the floor immediately. So just put a little comb fence around it, and go get some paper towels and wipe it up. Just make sure you put that comb fence around it. That way, kids aren't going to go and slip around it. All right. Be engaged the entire time. There's no phones, unless, you got to check a score of the game. We feel you. Or, text someone back real quick, no social media though, I would say, no scrolling, no doom scrolling. Just be engaged the whole time. If you are, you don't know what to do, go help out another coach, go jump in drills, because you're a coach, you've done it, you've played before, and you understand what it looks like to do the drill well. And the kids need to see that over and over again. So go get in, go engage, you can go talk to kids one-on-one, build those relationships, but do not be on your phone. That's not why you're here. If you want to be on your phone. So again, we just did be engaged the entire time, moving around, proper positioning. So if you're a secondary coach, stand next to the kids who are having trouble, who are behaving not so well. It's good to have an adult right next to them, but in general, just make sure you're scanning. It's not a private session, so you can't give quite as much feedback, but you can try and give quick feedback, and just doing your best, really. So last 4, just making sure you're going around and you're not standing in the same place is really the most important thing. And last 4, equipment count after practice. Stack the cones. All right, don't throw them in one or two at a time. That's how they break. Again, just letting head coach of the gym know, or basketball administrator know, hey, is there not enough basketballs or cones, whatever it may be. Just let them know. Lock the basketball cart in the office, or put it in the corner at West Side, or whatever y'all do at De Toledo. I've never been there. Turn off all the lights and close and lock all the doors. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for this. Make sure you take the assessment. You're going to do great. Thanks for coming on. Again, we really appreciate you for being a coach at Royal. And I think, you're making a difference in kids' lives. And just like, if you think about it, like, we're working with a lot of big beginning basketball players, and we have the opportunity to, mold and really impact and influence their experience with basketball and physical activity. So just be mindful of that. And, you got hired for a reason. So just remember that. So appreciate you for being a part of the Royal team.